Dear friends, welcome to my video. Kindly click on the CC button for subtitles. The philosophical inquiry into the meaning of life is an age-old question that has intrigued philosophers, scholars, and thinkers from all walks of life. This pursuit, the quest for purpose, is at the heart of human existence. Is there an overarching purpose, a higher objective to our existence, or are we simply an amalgamation of random events in the universe? This question has prompted various interpretations and answers throughout human history. One dominant perspective is existentialism, a philosophical movement mainly popularized by thinkers like Soren Kierkegaard and Jean-Paul Sartre. Existentialists argue that life has no inherent meaning, and it is solely up to the individual to give it purpose. They believe in the principle of existence precedes essence, meaning that we are born without any predetermined purpose, and we must create our own through our choices and actions. This existentialist view underscores the importance of personal responsibility and freedom. It encourages people to live authentically, to embrace their unique existence, and to shape their life in a way that aligns with their values, not societal expectations or norms. The existentialists remind us that the meaning of life is a deeply personal and subjective matter. Contrastingly, the school of thought known as Absurdism, led by philosophers like Albert Camus, posits that life is fundamentally absurd and lacks meaning. The search for meaning is an exercise in futility because the universe, in its vast and indifferent nature, does not care for our struggles or desires. However, this does not lead to despair. Instead, absurdists suggest that we should embrace this inherent meaninglessness and continue to live, despite the absurd. They emphasize the value of personal experience and joy in the journey of life. Stoicism, a philosophy practiced by ancient Greeks and Romans, teaches that the meaning of life lies in virtue, living in accordance with nature and reason. Stoics believe in accepting the world as it is, not as we wish it to be, and finding peace within ourselves regardless of external circumstances. They argue that a good life is not defined by wealth, power, or pleasure but by self-control, wisdom, and understanding. In contrast to these philosophical perspectives, religious frameworks provide a transcendent source of meaning. Most religions posit an ultimate purpose or destiny for human beings, usually linked with the concept of a deity or deities, and an afterlife. They often include moral codes or laws to guide behavior towards this end. Then there are those who derive meaning from a life lived in the service of others, as argued by philosophers like Emmanuel Levinas. They see the relationship with the other as the primary source of ethical responsibility and meaning. In this view, the purpose of life is to create a more just and compassionate world. All these philosophies represent different approaches to the fundamental question of life's meaning. Some locate it in individual freedom and authenticity, others in the acceptance of life's absurdity, the pursuit of enlightenment, living according to nature and reason, service to others, or adherence to religious doctrines. However, the common thread running through these diverse philosophies is the search for understanding and connection, with ourselves, with others, and with the universe. Regardless of the philosophical or religious paths we choose, the journey to find meaning is profoundly human. It's a personal journey that requires introspection, courage, and the willingness to grapple with life's most profound questions. In conclusion, the meaning of life is not a one-size-fits-all answer. It is a deeply personal and individual endeavor, shaped by our experiences, beliefs, and values. It is a lifelong journey, a ceaseless exploration, rather than a final destination. And maybe, just maybe, the search for the meaning of life is, in itself, part of our life's meaning. Thank you for watching my video. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and give a thumbs up. Thanks for your support.